So there are narratives. So first off, in order for the propagation of the species, you need both men and women, right?
Of course.
I agree with you.
It's impossible without men, impossible without women. In order to propagate the species, you need both. However, there seems to be narratives, and these narratives are perpetuated by feminists, by self-described misandrists like Marin here, that seek to diminish the degree to which all the modern comforts that we take for granted, how these are all a result of male labor and ingenuity and genius. And you're diminishing the contribution of men, and you basically paint men as this monolithic monster, and you paint men as these terrible people throughout all of human history and even today, and then women are perpetually oppressed and women are perpetually victimized, and it's a terrible narrative to spin. But really, realistically, when it does come down to survival, the material reality of existence and survivability greatly, disproportionately depends on men. So men are so inextricably involved in critical infrastructure that if you were to remove these men, or if all men were to disappear, this would be so catastrophic in a myriad of ways that I couldn't even fully articulate. And the cascading effects of the removal of men from critical infrastructure, these men who are nameless, who you don't even know exist, who keep you safe at night, who keep the electricity on, who keep the water running, who keep the telecommunication systems going. These systems, many of you probably don't even have a base level understanding of. If these men were to disappear, there would be catastrophic cascading failures, the essentially bringing us back within a period of a month to literally pre-civilization living standards for women.
We could say the same thing about women. If women disappear, the same thing would happen.
Here's the difference, and you're not going to be able to argue to the counter. So I agree. So if all men disappear, it's the end of the species. If all women disappear, it's the end of the species for both. However, if we're looking at what happens in that scenario where all men disappear, all women disappear, if all men disappear, it's going to be very sad. Obviously, nobody wants to lose their wives, their sisters, mothers, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be the end of the species. That's going to massively suck. But if you look at in terms of survivability, men will be able, for the years they have left, men will be able to maintain the current systems and infrastructure.
Because they need the system.
Sure. Yes, I agree. Thank you for proving my point. That enable us to enjoy the comforts of modernity. If all men disappeared, trust me, you guys would be living in the Stone Age.
However, you're assuming that if history went differently and women were in charge, we'd never get to this point. You have no
I'm not
proof
making that claim.
But
I'm not making the claim.
But
so you're fighting...
because men were able to create the system and shut women out, and they created the system, and now they rule the system. Yes, if all men disappeared, we'd have trouble. However, if in history things went different and people were always considered equal, men and women were always considered equal, and women had the opportunity to make their own system, I think we would do just fine.
I need
and
to
you
show
have
you
no
more
proof.
videos. Here, pull up Discord.
I don't want to see any videos of men doing work.
Yes, you do.
Because you assume that women couldn't do that work just because you don't have a video of them.
Pull it up.
Probably videos of them.
Trust me. Pull this shit up. Pull this shit up. Mary, pull it up. No, don't. You can't show that. Here, scroll down. Men at work, please. Men at work.
Men work.
All right, scroll down. There's firefighters, predominantly men. Let's do line workers. Scroll down. Full screen that first one, please. Click on it. Full screen it. Okay. This is a dude. Women don't want to do this shit. I'm telling you, women don't want to do this shit.
Let's agree to.
Like when the electricity goes out and it's below freezing, It's men who are going to be there at 3 a.m. in the below freezing cold temperature when it's fucking hailing, doing shit like doing gangster shit like this.
You know what?
What's
if
up?
this was my only opportunity of job work, I could do it and I would do a great job, and you just have no idea.
Women don't want to do it is the thing.
Because
nothing's stopping women from doing this. Literally nothing but their own choice.
Okay.
Isn't that the argument though for why in America we let illegals do our like gardening and stuff? Because Americans don't want to do that kind of labor anymore.
Anything.
No, that's a good point.
X out of that. Let me see what else. There's one other video I wanted to show.
She made a good point, and you
X out of that shit.
She made a good point, and you just said, "What does that have to do with anything?" and moved on to show another video of a man doing something that a woman could easily do.
Full screen that shit. Marin, you gonna be doing this? You doing this shit?
Depends how much money I'm making.
Bro, this guy gets paid $30 an hour.
Do you know that for a fact?
I'm spitballing. I don't know how much he actually makes.
Who knows?
He's not making 200K
If I
a
grew
year.
up in a small town, I had no other choices. I had no
Exterminators
education,
and plumbers
and this was
make
something
great
I could
money.
do. Why not?
Let's ask.
Ocean workers, click that shit. Click the, you know what? Click. No. Bro, Marin, you want to do this shit? You want to be out on there?
Well, I'm a little scared of the ocean.
Oh, okay. She's scared of the ocean.
But I know women who have done that.
You want to kick it? You want to kick it?
Women could easily do
You gonna kick it on the fucking oil derrick?
But the problem is that women could do that.
But why would we?
Just because men dominate the field doesn't mean that women can't do it.
They can do it. It's the fact that they don't want to do it.
Wait. Hold on.
Nobody wants to fucking do that.
Wait, Marin. Here, play it. We're gonna watch this shit. Just play that shit. Play that shit. So here's the thing, right? You could take, like, this job right here requires so much strength and stamina. I'm telling you, like, you could take a guy and put him in this and he'll get there at one point. I genuinely think it's the case that you put most women in what they're about to do, they just don't have the physical strength to do it. They don't have the physical strength to do it.
What is that?
It's oil workers, roughnecks.
I'm not doing that.
Oh my God.
So hold on. They do. These things are like, and their fingers get fucking smashed and like this is really.
Do you think these guys are ideal husband material?
How? I'm not sure how that relates at all.
Because you keep showing us blue collar men like these are our ideal husbands.
Show us the CEOs.
They're harder workers than the soy boys that we see everywhere.
This is not like a pointless conversation. This conversation it's idiotic.
I think
that's not the kind of men I'm looking at. I'm not dating those kind of men.
I just don't see a point in showing blue collar men and saying women don't do this at all and just showing us videos of men when there are women who work those jobs. And just because there's more men than women doesn't mean jack shit. Women could still do it. Just because they don't as much, just because men are more likely to do so, because men are more required to be physically strong because of societal standards, does not mean that women could never do that job. That's all I'm saying.
I love that.
I'm not saying that women do that all the time. Men do that more often, for sure.